Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Will Joan Vassos Chock Chapple have a long engagement? Golden Bachelorette Joan Vassos found love for the second time in her life with Chock Chapple. The couple got engaged on the season finale of the show. Now, they are enjoying spending time together in public and planning their future together. Of course, fans are eager to know if they will have a long engagement or rush down the aisle like Gary Turner and Teresa Nist did. What did they say? Keep reading to find out more. A big question for fans of the Golden Bachelorette is when Joan Vassos and Chock Chapple plan on getting married. They spoke with US Weekly and answered rapid-fire questions about their future together. One of the first questions is whether or not they will have a long engagement. They both said, long engagement-ish. She has previously said it would probably be a year or so before their big day. They also dished on whether or not they want an intimate or a televised wedding. Joan admits she wants both. Chock seems to be good with whatever his bride-to-be wants. Joan revealed that Chock is easy to deal with and just goes with the flow. He said just tell him when to show up and what to wear. When talking about their wedding, they also both agreed they would write their own vows instead of saying traditional ones. Fans already know the couple plans on dividing their time between Kansas, Maryland, and New York. They were just in New York City looking at apartments over the weekend. They hope to have a place secured by the end of 2024. Joan and Chock also shared they would rather have date nights out doing something fun rather than chilling on the couch. Joan Vassos and Chock Chapple both believe their love is strong enough to last a lifetime. Chock said, "I call it the 5%. There's 5% you usually don't bend on. We said, if it's important to you, make sure the other one knows it. The other 95% at our age is flexible." They both gushed about how well they get along together. Chock says they work well together on everything from family to business. What do you think about Joan and Chock having a long engagement? Do you think they will make it down the aisle? Stay tuned for more updates. In the picturesque town of Cedar Hollow, life meandered at a pace that allowed time to breathe. It was a place where people valued sun-dappled afternoons and cherished every minute spent with loved ones. In this idyllic setting, Joan Vassos and Chock Chapple, two of Cedar Hollow's most admired residents, had just announced their engagement, sending ripples of excitement through the close-knit community. But one question lingered on everyone's lips: would Joan and Chock have a long engagement? Joan, a spirited woman with chestnut curls and an artistic flair, was a freelance illustrator who brought whimsical worlds to life on the pages of children's books. Chock, on the other hand, was a steady, reliable carpenter with a talent for turning wood into works of art. Their union seemed as natural as the meeting of earth and sky, a perfect blend of creativity and stability. They had been dating for 3 years, much to the delight of their families, who had long whispered about how well suited they were. The engagement announcement was nothing short of magical. Chock had proposed on the hilltop where they shared their first picnic, the valley below awash in the golden hues of a setting sun. He had carved the ring box himself, inscribing it with the words, "For all the days of our lives." Joan, teary-eyed and overwhelmed, had said yes before Chock even finished his heartfelt speech. As word spread, Cedar Hollow buzzed with speculation. The town's betting pool. The Cedar Hollow Diner, a hub for gossip and good-natured debates, quickly became the epicenter of the engagement discussions. "I give it 6 months, declared Edna Mulrooney, the diner's self-appointed sage, as she sipped her coffee. "Joan's a planner. She want to wait too long." "Nah, Chock's a perfectionist," countered Harold Grimes, who ran the hardware store. "He'll want to handcraft every detail of the wedding himself. Mark my words, it'll be at least 2 years. Even the local radio station got in on the action, with the morning DJ starting an unofficial betting pool. Bets ranged from a whirlwind 3-month engagement to a leisurely 3 years. Joan and Chock's perspective. Amid the town's chatter, Joan and Chock remained blissfully unfazed. For them, the engagement was less about timelines and more about savoring the journey. "We're in no rush," Joan confided to her best friend, Marnie. "I want to enjoy this phase of our relationship. There's something special about being engaged. It's like standing on the threshold of a whole new adventure." Chock, when pressed by his brother, Ethan, was equally noncommittal. "We'll figure it out," he said with a shrug. "We want it to be just right, but we're not putting ourselves on a clock." Planning the wedding. Despite their laid-back attitudes, planning a wedding in Cedar Hollow was no small feat. Everyone wanted to contribute. "You've got to let me bake the cake," insisted Patty from the bakery. "I've got this new lavender honey recipe that's just divine." "My band can play at the reception," offered Tony, who led a folk group that performed at the local farmers market. Joan and Chock were touched by the outpouring of support but quickly realized they needed to set some boundaries. "If we say yes to everyone, we'll end up with a wedding that feels more like a county fair," Joan joked. Still, the couple couldn't help but indulge in a bit of dreaming. They envisioned a ceremony under the ancient oak tree in Cedar Hollow Park, followed by a reception in the barn at Golden Fields Farm. The idea of a rustic, intimate wedding appealed to both of them. The influence of family. Both Joan and Chock's families had strong opinions about how long the engagement should last. Joan's mother, an impeccably organized woman who thrived on to-do lists, was eager to dive into planning. "The sooner we start, the sooner you'll be married," she said, pulling out her wedding planning binder. Chock's father, a quiet man who valued tradition, suggested they take their time. "Marriage is a big step," he said. "No need to rush into it. Take the time to make sure everything feels right." Caught between their families' differing perspectives, Joan and Chock decided to stay true to themselves. "This is our wedding," Joan reminded Chock during one of their many planning sessions. "We'll do it our way, no matter what anyone else thinks." Unexpected hurdles. As the months passed, life threw a few curveballs that complicated their plans. Joan landed a major book deal that required her to work long hours, while Chock took on a large carpentry project that consumed much of his time. Their busy schedules made it difficult to focus on wedding planning, but they didn't mind. "This just means we get to enjoy being engaged a little longer," Chock said one evening as they shared a quiet dinner. The question of timing. Eventually, a year passed, and the town's betting pool was still unresolved. Joan and Chock's engagement became a source of gentle teasing. "You two are like a fine wine," joked Marnie. "Taking your sweet time to age to perfection." But Joan and Chock were unbothered. For them, the engagement wasn't a race to the altar but a time to deepen their bond and prepare for the next chapter of their lives. The big reveal. One crisp autumn evening, Joan and Chock gathered their families and closest friends at Golden Fields Farm. As the group enjoyed a potluck dinner, Joan stood to make an announcement. "We've finally set a date," she said, her eyes sparkling. "Next fall, under the oak tree in Cedar Hollow Park." The room erupted in cheers and applause. Edna Mulrooney, who had bet on a 2-year engagement, looked especially pleased. A love worth the wait. As Joan and Chock basked in the warmth of their loved one's support, they knew they had made the right decision. Their engagement had been a time of joy, growth, and anticipation, a beautiful prelude to the life they would build together. In Cedar Hollow, where life moved at its own unhurried pace. Joan and Chock's engagement was a testament to the power of love that doesn't rush but rather savors every moment. Whether their journey to the altar had taken 6 months or 2 years, it was clear to everyone who knew them that their love was worth the wait.